Hello everyone, good to see you. So this week's topic is all about visualization, and so today's topic specifically is about the benefits of visualization. So first of all, before we go into visualization details and techniques and so forth, I think it would be important to know that all of us are already continuously visualizing. Most of the time we visualize without actually knowing that we visualize, but for example the feeling that you have about yourself, the sense of self, the idea of who you are in any given moment, that could be considered a visualization. It is the way you see yourself, the way you perceive yourself. And we usually don't consider this as a visualization because it isn't coming out of some sort of practice. We're not really practicing to be who we are. Rather, who we are is kind of like an outcome of our surroundings, who we spend our time with, what books we read, what kind of information we take in. That shapes our thoughts, it shapes our feelings, it shapes who we think we are. In the beginning of our life, when we are little babies, we're usually quite empty. We don't have many opinions and ideas of who we are, who we should be, who we're supposed to be, who we could have been. Babies are rather present, they don't think very much. But later on we add more and more thoughts to our repertoire, becoming increasingly more and more complex. And then we develop, for example, a sense of guilt or shame about ourselves. The idea that I can do this, it's easy for me, or I can't do this, it's too hard for me. Or I'm always so lazy, I don't know why I'm so lazy. Or whatever it is, I'm easily getting angry and so forth. All of these are perfected visualizations. They're self-images that we have cultivated to perfection without knowing it. If you do something repetitively over and over and over and over again, it becomes second nature. It feels natural to do it, like driving a car. You don't have to think about the actions while driving a car. How to do it would really be very, very confusing if you had to remember what all the street signs meant and remember to push the right pedals and all that. In fact, the more you think about it, the more difficult it becomes. But if you stop thinking about it, it's just a natural kind of action that just runs. You can do even other things while driving a car. You can talk with your partner, you can listen to music, and so forth. So visualization has, for all of us, become quite an automated process, and we tend to recreate who we were. So I repeat that again, this is really important. We tend to recreate who we were yesterday and before that. We keep thinking old thoughts. We keep feeling old emotions. We keep doing the same old things mentally, verbally and physically, day after day. Very often these things that we are doing mentally, verbally or physically are not really serving us. Take, for example, the most subtle level of our experience, the mental content, the way you think. If you look at the way you think, is that really serving you? Is it constructive, wholesome, kind, wise, loving, caring, uplifting? Or is it different? Is it fault-finding, critical, depressing, worrisome, anxious, fearful? Notice your predominant thought patterns and your predominant belief systems when thoughts are very ingrained, like we're very attached to a certain set of thoughts, and they turn into a so-called belief system. Like I believe that that I'm not good enough. And there is a set of thoughts that support that belief. Right? And there's also a set of emotions that come as a result of that belief, that accompany that belief. And so every time you have certain things in your life reminding you of that belief, you can immediately just kind of thrown into that whole character, into that sense of self. Here is me, the emotional being that has no control, that can't do it. I don't know why that happened to me. Why is this always happening to me? Maybe it's a complaining mindset. Maybe it's an angry mindset. It depends. You have to look at yourself and see what is it that predominantly goes around and around and around in your being, in your head, in your thoughts and feelings. What is it that you predominantly, naturally, automatically manifest inside of yourself? That is visualization. A baby isn't born a Buddhist or a Muslim or a politician or a doctor or whatever. A baby is born relatively empty. And then over the years, we learn to identify with certain thought sets, cultural beliefs and values, emotional values. And it's different from country to country. It's very different people because they all grow up in a certain environment where everybody around them believes certain things. So if you're born into a certain environment, you kind of have no choice. You have to adapt what you are told. It just flows into you. You can't choose. A baby cannot choose. It cannot say, well, wait a second, I don't want that information to flow into me. I would rather select that information because it is more helpful. Like, let's say, if kindness is a universal quality, right? If a baby would understand, well, it serves me to be kind, then I would then only select the information to come into myself that pertains to kindness, that is about kindness. Everything else I would leave outside. I wouldn't take that. But a baby can't select. Like the seeds under the ground, they can't select. If they're watered, they sprout. And if we pay attention to something, and if we are surrounded by certain factors, like the seeds in the ground, they're surrounded by sunlight, by a fertile ground, by water, then they have to sprout. The seeds cannot choose. Yes, so it's the same for a baby. Most of us, we could not choose to a certain point. How would I rather want to feel? Who would I rather want to be? Because if we could make a choice, we'd all live very inspiring lives. Right? Instead of getting really, really angry at that person that cut you off in traffic, you could respond with kindness and forgiveness. We'd all choose that if we could, because it feels so much better. Right? But the anger that you feel when someone cuts you off, that eats you up. Let's say you've had a very traumatic experience, like someone broke up with you, you're alone, you're unhappy. And it's kind of like we're forced to think through this again and again, day and night even, to go through the trauma again and again internally, reifying it, make it more strong, more solid, turning it into more of a me. Each time we dwell on it and dwell in it and dwell as it, it becomes stronger. So how you think leads to how you feel. And how you think is conditioned. It's conditioned by various factors. For example, such teachings. The books you read, if they're uplifting and wholesome in any way, then they can change the way you think in a way that is more constructive in your life. Right? It can make your life more easy, more relaxing, more patient. more forgiving, more empowering in many ways. That's the whole point of these kind of teachings, to change the way we think, to learn how to think in ways that are more skillful. The Buddha uses the word skillful, which means being a cause for long-term benefit and happiness. Unskillful is the opposite. If you dwell on thoughts that are unskillful, means you're dwelling on content in your mind that creates more and more misery for yourself, and with that for other people. Because it is you who is shared with the world. You share yourself with the world. Who you are in any given situation, in this room right now, you share yourself, who you are. Are you tolerant? Are you open-hearted? Are you kind? Are you able to embrace our humanity? Can you forgive and understand? Can you let go and be released and at ease? Can you be authentic in yourself? Other people will feel that. They will pick up on that. If you have a room full of angry people, you feel that. Even if you have a room full of happy people and you have that one angry person coming in, makes a difference. If you have people talking in a group about uplifting things and then you have that one person coming in that starts to complain about what's going wrong and why and war and politics and all that. And so it kind of pulls down the whole mood in the room. Or the other way around, the happy guys pull the complainer up. Depends who has more power, who is more affirmed in their own self-image, in their character. So who you are is who you share with the world. And so that's a responsibility. First of all, we're all responsibility for one person. We're all responsible for one person, ourselves. You're responsible for your happiness. You're responsible for your own suffering. I'm not saying that you are responsible for a person, another person giving you trouble, but you are responsible for the way you react. Does that make sense? Yeah, you can't possibly control other people. It's impossible. It's not our job. It's not our business, other people. Ourselves, that's our business. And how we respond to certain situations, that is always a matter of choice. But for most people it's not, because there is no mindfulness. We don't see ourselves clearly. So as always, at the beginning of any visualization practice, there has to be some mindfulness, self-awareness. Here is what's going through my mind. Here is what's going on inside of myself right now. And then ask yourself, could there be a better way to be? Could there be a better direction to take? Because who you are right now, that's your direction. That's your direction. If you're angry, then you're taking an angry direction. Okay, it's like steering a car. You steer to the left, well, you're going to the left. You steer to the right, you go to the right. And then there is consequences to the steering. Right? So to every steer, there's a consequence. So if you are now in a good, positive, uplifting state, what could help you to stay in that? Or to branch out from that into similar or equal positive and uplifting states. You wouldn't have to keep just one state. What would help you to feel a little bit better right now? And then here come the limits. Many people think, but I can't possibly feel better because my circumstances don't allow me to. Now here's where I find visualization to be super handy. Because it doesn't matter what the circumstances are, you are the Lord of your feelings. You can decide how you want to feel. There's absolutely nothing that can limit you in any way or keep you from feeling a certain way that you would like to feel. And it's very easy to shift your feelings. Probably easier than you think. Remember the last time that you were really happy. And just really remember it. Beautiful, nice moment of your life. And as you remember it, you probably start to feel something. that comes together with that memory. See, then you already have your feeling. Now simply allow that feeling to spread into your whole body. And for that you can use visualization. For example, you can work with your breath together. You can allow the feeling to go into your muscles, your bones, every cell of your body, allowing it to spread into your legs, allow it to spread into your arms. Turn into a being that is made of that feeling. The feeling of kindness. Can you access it? Can you access a feeling of kindness? Gentleness, warmth, softness? When was the last time that you were kind? How did that feel like? How did it feel like when there was someone that was kind to you the last time? Maybe a bit easier. How did you receive that kindness? How did you feel about the person that was kind to you? And contemplating such things changes the way you feel right in that instant. Now the problem is that people don't know how to stay with it. Or they have all kinds of reasons coming up in their minds why they should not stay with that feeling. For example, yeah, but I can't just feel good. Look at the world. It's terrible. It's horrible. There's so many children who are starving. How can I allow myself to feel good in all that? That's a very cultural thing. But a lot of people have that, surprisingly. They don't allow themselves to really feel good. They feel they don't deserve it. How can I feel good if the world is a mess? How can I feel good if other people suffer? And it's almost as if your suffering would help other people to suffer less. But that's bullshit. It isn't like that at all. Your suffering is just one person more in a state of suffering. That's all that it is. Your suffering doesn't help another person to suffer less. Just like a drowning person cannot save a drowning person. You're busy drowning, so if you see someone else drowning with you, then you don't even see them probably because you're busy drowning. So in order to really be helpful, you have to be in a boat or on an island or somehow in a safe position. If you're in a safe position, you can help people who are drowning. And so that argument, my grandmother used to tell me that, finish your plate, eat up, she said, because people in Africa starve. And so what I developed instead of a healthy eating habit was eating because of guilt. And I still have it. It's incredible. It's such a persistent pattern. I finish every plate. And the funny thing is, I don't feel like it's guilt. It feels like, yeah, I'm an orderly person that finishes my food. I feel good about myself even. But it's not coming from the right place. It comes from guilt. It's very subtle. And I would only notice that if I did not finish my plate on purpose. I just leave something on my plate. How does that make me feel? Really unpleasant. But I would not allow myself to go there. I'd rather finish my plate. So I don't really see the underlying current that makes me do that. And so our psychology is super complex. It's so profound, very deep. We do so many things and we have no idea why we do them. So there's good news. Instead of trying to figure it all out and somehow solve the knot of emotions and thoughts, create new and wholesome patterns instead and let them outweigh the ones that are negative. And the very predominant negative patterns, you can change them directly by simply learning to feel different. For example, if you like to get angry at people and you know that you're getting angry at people easily, try to visualize yourself as a very kind person. Next time you're behind your car, think of yourself as a divine being driving the car through Phuket traffic. And it makes a difference. Feel like you're made of light, your pure kindness behind the wheel. And see if it makes a difference. The challenge here is just to maintain that image. Don't forget it. Keep it in mind. Well, that's mindfulness, right? You're keeping something in mind. And so instead of using visualization for mundane stuff to get more stuff, which is mostly used for nowadays, it's like, you want the Ferrari, visualize having the Ferrari. When you're behind the steering wheel of your Honda Jazz, just think of it as a Ferrari. Visualize it, feel like you're having the Ferrari. Go into that feeling. You want to be successful, feel successful. That is all valid, and it is a helpful tool if you want to get a Ferrari or you want to be successful. But it's a tool that requires someone handling it. The tool in itself is pointless. If you just sit every day in your Honda Jazz visualizing a Ferrari, that will not create the Ferrari. What creates the Ferrari is very specific action and the pleasure of going there, having the goal, right? But instead of just going after stuff, feeling like, once I visualize this and when I get that, I can be happy, start by feeling so fulfilled and so good in this very moment right now that you don't need stuff anymore. And that state is an amazing state to be in. And in the beginning, you can visualize that state. You can visualize yourself being completely fulfilled, completely at ease. The Tibetans, in Tibetan Buddhist systems, they really make use of that a lot. They call it taking the goal into the path. They would visualize themselves as fully enlightened beings, which is, of course, a very, very complex process and all that. Requires proper empowerments and so forth. But they use this process of visualization quite a lot. They see a lot with their inner eyes. And they work a lot with how they perceive themselves. And rather than taking on a garment that doesn't empower you, take on a garment that empowers you, because that would be your choice. Who are you here as right now? You can make a choice. You can be here as a divine being. You can be here as a mundane being. You can be here as a confused being, an angry being, unhappy being, or you can shift. Forget the body a little bit. Who's the driver of the body? Can you shape that? Can you shape the driver of the body? Can you shape who's in there in a way that goes beyond just trying to get stuff, but come into a very powerful state? And as everything, it works both ways. You could visualize yourself as the devil, a demon. You could visualize yourself as a being that is made of, consisting of darkness and rage. And you could become very powerful in that direction. In Star Wars, they point that out. You can go to the dark side. Yes? The dark side has a lot of power. Greed, anger, aversion, hatred, attachment, wanting, not wanting, all that stuff. Easy to go in there. It has an amazing pull. And it always appears as light. That's the thing about the dark side. You only notice that it's dark by its results. For example, how it makes you and others feel. But from our own conviction, it always feels righteous. It feels like, yes, I'm doing exactly the right thing. And it works on the side of light. It works by creating a more kind, compassionate, relaxed being. Oh, I can deal with that. Oh, I can do this. I'm very kind. I love myself. I can forgive other people easily. It's a breeze. And see, that works up against our beliefs, doesn't it? It works against the beliefs of the dark side. No, I can't forgive. Here, that's the dark side. I shouldn't forgive. They don't deserve forgiveness. There's that righteousness that comes with it. So visualization is a tool of darkness and light. So it has to be handled with care. Always remember that whatever shape that you assume internally has consequences, both for yourself and others. So it requires intense honesty. What am I doing right now, and why am I doing that? What's the point of that visualization? I just want to get a bit more stuff. Then where are you coming from? You come from a state of lack. Welcome to the dark side. That's a never-ending path. Instead, if you tap into feelings that are already there, like your forgiveness or kindness or compassion, then you're not coming from a space of lack. That's a different feeling. And there will be different results to that feeling. That's your responsibility. And therefore, it's up to you. You have to be honest enough to see yourself. Why am I doing this? What am I visualizing? What for? Because every visualization empowers you. It empowers you in a great way. It's a very strong, powerful tool. And that's what that is. Visualization is nothing but a tool. It's like a sledgehammer, like a chainsaw. You use a chainsaw for a certain operation. For example, cut down a tree. And once you've cut down the tree, you can put the chainsaw down. You don't need to take it into your shower and while eating breakfast. You don't need the chainsaw for breakfast or anywhere else. You just needed it to cut down that tree. So this is not something that you're supposed to do 24/7. Am I now supposed to always visualize? No, you do it with purpose and clear intention, knowing very clearly the outcomes of your action, and then assuming that certain persona for yourself. And the way I use it is to empower my own meditation practice, because for many, many years I've been practicing based on the idea that I'm not good at practicing meditation, that I can't do this really, it's so tough, I'm not getting results, all that kind of stuff. So I've learned to change that, and since then make more progress and better results in my meditation practice. It's more easy now because I have decided to give up these disempowering beliefs through visualization. Visualization has helped a great deal there. But then sure, when you're going into meditation, there is a point where you have to give up any visualization. That's after stage 1. So today, that's why we only covered stage 1, the breathing technique, assuming a different shape in your body, filling the body with light, letting go of disease, create healing in your body and so forth. That was just an example of using visualization to empower the first stage. After that, you already come to present moment awareness. There's no more room for visualization. Then you come into silent present moment awareness. You're getting further and further away from fabrication, creating, concocting stuff in your head. And you come closer and closer to truth, the way it is, the way it truly is, beyond every imagination, beyond the dreaming mind. So you let go of that visualizing tool rather fast. But it's a nice little thing to have in your life. If you really know what you want, can you also know how that would feel like? That has a pulling force. It pulls you to the accomplishment of what you want. So you can use it in any realm of your life, any area. Spiritual practice, relationships, financial, whatever it is, visualization, always helpful. Health, it's great health benefits. I encourage you to read up on it a little bit on Google. You can find very interesting scientific articles about visualization and its many benefits. Your brain and your body doesn't know whether you're imagining something or you're experiencing a real thing. You might be in your bed at night time and you imagine yourself failing at the meeting next morning, or failing at a public speech you have to give next morning, failing at an exam. You're going through the panic and the feelings of fear, and it has a very real impact on your body right there. You can't sleep anymore, you're wired, you're stressed. So it's a very direct impact, and it's just an imagination actually. You're not having an exam, you're in your bed, right? So there's very real impacts on the body. If you use your imagination and your visualization, you can help the body's natural healing process a great deal. More on that next Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Now, are there any questions?